Our continuing coverage of protests across Nigeria over hardship, hunger, policy review, and much more. Previously, we've had some guests talk about, the clarity of the demands of the protesters, and we've had coverage from across Nigeria from my colleague. The last one we had was from Ojota here in Lagos. Bernard and Ni brought us update. We also saw the CP speak about how peaceful the process has been. It's quite commendable to note that no protester has been arrested in Lagos, and the police presence at that location seems to keep the peace to a certain degree. But that is not the case in Abuja. In Umuahia, there is no protest really to report about. But in Abuja, we saw on camera my colleague trying to avoid the gunshots or shots. We can't say if it is gunshots, but shots that was being put out to scare people away. So we're continuing the conversations. The issues around the agitation that's pushing people to the street, the government response, and the safety of journalists. We have 3 guests this time around. Lekan, do the honors.
Okay, so of course, we've actually introduced Akin Fatunke, an economist who will be looking at it from the economic angle as regards the protests and the implications. And now we have Jide Johnson, a public affairs commentator, right here in the studio. Jide, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be with you, and good day to our viewers all over the world.
And we also have Theophilus Akatugba, also a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us in our studios.
Good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon to the gentlemen. So let me start with Akin Fatunke. Now, we've seen what played out as regards protests and the response of government. And the question has always been around government policies, interventions, measures, and reactions before and now that the protest is on. And it has always been about, has the government done well in terms of the kind of policies it brought to bed? Has it done well in terms of implementation? And has it done well in terms of mitigating the impact?
I'm afraid it's difficult to say they have not tried, but have they done well? Again, becomes a philosophical question. So what is well to Thompson and Theophilus might just not be well to me. But talking seriously, the implementation to my mind came rushed, trying to see if we could fix. And when it is not being fixed, then we went to town for a banquet, so to speak. That didn't engender the kind of trust that we needed. For me, as an economist and somebody who has been in the industry, say oil and gas, with some bias to finance, I know for sure that we were highly leveraged. By that I mean we were borrowing for consumption, we were not producing, and revenue has gone downhill. We have stolen ourselves blind, and something has to happen. You either continue with the status quo, and when this president came and said he has a hope, a renewed hope agenda, okay, so let's see what that hope renewed agenda should be. What I didn't see, because economics is behavioral science, it has to be backed by character. It has to be, okay, well, you can call it vision is there. I want to stop. I don't want things to continue to bleed. I think we needed to have even maybe consult a bit more and then do things in some relative phases. But when the day it was done, virtually we didn't have any appropriation. Realistically, there was a fear that if you allow it to go further, we may then find ourselves with the PIA conundrum, where you will not be able to now then move over again. But the sign of a good leader, or the sign of a good father, sign of a good mother, is like Winston Churchill. Yes, I said so. Yes, I said this is what I'm going to do. Yes, I can change my mind. Yes, I can have some human face. And my human face has to be a face that has to be shown like this, not when I'm eating 3 square meals and then you are not eating anything and I think I will be able to carry you along. It's not going to happen.
All right. Jide, let's come to you. Day 2. The intensity we saw yesterday and today, there seems to be a lull in, the violence that characterized yesterday, particularly up north. What is your impression of the protest so far and the objective that's been kicked for?
First and foremost, you have to look at what led to the cause of the protest or the call for the protest, which and then attempts by government to stifle dissenting voice. One of the fundamental characteristics of democracy is the majority having their way and minority having their say. And then you need consenting and dissenting views in order for it to grow democracy. And I think that this administration has come to that realization with this protest that happened yesterday and with what is going on today, in the sense that the tolerance level of this particular administration calls to question whether they are prepared for governance and whether they are prepared for civic engagement when it comes to democracy. You look at the way Senator Ningi was silenced when he raised the issue concerning the budget. You look at the way, if, for example, the presidency and those that had hearkened to what Senator Ndume. Now, this is not far from what Senator Ndume was saying some few weeks back, and we saw the sledgehammer with which Senator Ndume was dealt with. And if you also look at the way the Senate president, the way he caricatured his distinguished senator on the floor that have dissenting view to the views that is popular view or majority view in the National Assembly, that there's nothing distinguished about the Senate president. So overall, you will see that for the very first time, government will see that you couldn't identify the leadership of the protest. Who are those behind the protest? They are an amorphous group, but you see general compliance. The fact that people don't go on the street to rally, because there is difference between rally and protest. You can sit at home and protest. You will discover that a lot of Nigeria complied with the protest by not going out for their daily activity, while some few elements went out to rally, and while some few elements went to vandalize.
Some would argue that they are not coming out to protest doesn't necessarily mean compliance with the protest. It will be more of security concerns.
Well, because you didn't provide, for example, you saw that in Lagos, it was peaceful. Lives and property were protected because there's an experience from the NSAS protest, and learning from that, the way the security agencies were deployed across Lagos and the various engagement they have prior to that. It was not fire brimstone that characterized Federal Capital Territory. You could look at the body language, the tone, the disposition of the Minister of Federal Capital Territory with respect to whether protests will be allowed, will not be allowed in Abuja, compared to how it was handled, how it is handled in Lagos. So it tells you about the management of public affairs. Who are those that are in charge? What is their behavior? What is their disposition? What is their attitude? Will go along with whether protests are violent or they are peaceful.
Okay, so let's bring Theophilus into this. Now, Akin Fatunke made a statement the other time, and he said that Nigeria is actually stolen itself blind by the leaders. And we continue to probe the reasons for this protest. And one of the demands is that, according to the 10 for 10 demands, reduce running costs of the Executive and National Assembly and fully implement the Orosanye report to scrap agencies and reduce the state of the government in terms of expenditure and all. And they also talked about scrapping hardship, entertainment, and all other National Assembly allowances, among other scrappings. And there have been talks about, the government being prudent with spendings and cutting down the cost of governance. Now, is this too much to ask for by the citizens?
Well, not too much. Every call for government to reduce cost of governance is a call in the right direction. But you know, when you make blanket and general calls, sometimes we don't really know what you are asking for. And if it's not very clear, reduce cost. But even when cost is reduced or an attempt to reduce this cost is made, this government is not commended. The government is even derided. Some time ago, we heard the president said, we have to cut down on number of people who make foreign trips. The president even placed an embargo on international trips, travels for training or conferences. And so there has been a lot of cut-cutting in various areas. But the way Nigeria is designed, we actually designed this country in a manner that we didn't give consideration to the cost of things. We gave consideration more to representation. And so for every little thing we need to do, it has to cost us a lot of money to achieve, because you must have very fair and equal representation. And everyone who is given an assignment, one way or the other, need to be remunerated or be made comfortable to be able to execute that assignment. So cost of running the country under a federal democracy where you have this three-tier, all this ethnic and regional representation is on its own very, very expensive. And so look at the Senate. We have the House of Reps and we have the Senate. To put all that number together. The first time I visited the National Assembly, I was taken aback at the expanse, the size of a National Assembly itself, complex. Consider the cost of running that complex, making it functional. All the legislators with all the lawmakers with all their array of staffs and assistants, having offices that are well equipped. That's a lot of cost on the country itself. By the time we designed that, we didn't consider the inflow and revenue.
Theophilus, let me interject and just say something to play the devil's advocate here. Some people say, to use local parlance, if you chop, you walk. It will be easier for people to say, okay, I mean, they're doing this, but they're also doing this. Public officials, even in other climes, we see them, they have assistants, they have multiple cars. Arguably, whether that is a right is a different conversation entirely. But some people will argue that it will be more important if, despite this show of affluence, that they are actually working for the people. The challenge is, are they working?
Well, we are not, first, how would you be able to determine if they are working? We are looking at outcomes. If the outcome is positive, if we feel the comfort, then we will say they are working. But until we feel it, we will always accuse them of not working. But these are men and women that I know, the ones that I'm close to. They have sleepless nights. They are responding to even local issues. I know a particular lawmaker whose house and the place of residence, including his place in Lagos, is agog with men and women from his constituency asking him for one thing or the other. Avalanche of requests that no matter how much you pay him, he will not be able to meet up. I was in Abuja to interview someone who is in the National Assembly as well. Right in front of us, I had more than 50 people hanging on, waiting for him to dispense one good or the other, claiming that they are from his constituency.
Well, their job is to make laws and policies that are supposed to affect the people. If they fail to do that and choose to do handout, I guess that's why we have a situation where people are paid 2,000 and 5,000 naira to come out and protest, and they accept it and put their lives at risk. We'll come back to you, Theophilus. Yes. I do want to explore that line of conversation, but let's bring in our guest in the studio. I think I'll put this question to you, Jide. Earlier, we had a young woman in Abuja who talked about her concerns that the caliber of people that are coming out for this protest seem to be the elite young people that are coming for the protest seem not as much as we had during the End SARS protest. The silence of major voices to these protests. She's asking, her comment was asking them to turn up even if they're not impacted. What do you make of this? It is an observation that some persons have corroborated and say, yes, she has a point. Is there something, you think, that's making them less active now than they were previously?
Let me start with the campaign team of the president, which was Renewed Hope, which encapsulate the vision, the mission, and the value of that administration, proposed administration, when they were campaigning for election. It tells you that it's a hopeless situation. That's when you promise a renewed hope. That situation is in a dark strait. You need to bring people on board to aspire for better future. There's no doubt that the number of Nigerians that have left, younger Nigerians that have left this country between 2020 and 2024 is unimaginable. You know what I'm talking about? It drives home to you know how many of your friends. I know how many references I've signed for my student. I know there's a community in England where if I go to that community, I can be there for the next 1 month, without paying hotel bills, hopping from one house of my former student to another house. So basically, a lot of younger Nigerians, active, proactive Nigerians have left. And besides that people did not come out does not mean that the protest is not successful. What we witnessed yesterday is what typically happens on every election day. Who are those that come out to vote on the election? The kind of violence you witness in some part of Nigeria is not different from the violence we witness anytime we want to have election in this country. Because one, what is the level of civic education? What is the level of imbibing the civic responsibility, understanding your role as a citizen within the democratic space, when to vote, how to vote, when to lend your voice to public policy, when to protest, and when to petition your government. You see, some petitions have been written to government by the citizenry. Are those petitions addressed? And if you don't address that, because there are levels in which, in democratic governance, for where you can express your dissent, it is this duty of if I'm dissatisfied with the conduct of Lagos State government. For example, I was on this set when I went to Lagos State House of Assembly. I think I went to Lagos State Assembly and I came here and I said, whoever designed the structure of Lagos State House of Assembly is operating under a military regime, because he's not making the Lagos State House of Assembly to be friendly because it's a siege. The kind of what you go through is like going through a military barrack for you to get to the People's Assembly, quote unquote. And so someone that is not educated, how would he be able to navigate that? The guy said, I can't go, and I said, I'll block the gate, and the speaker will come. The speaker of Lagos will come and move me out of the gate, that I can access the State House of Assembly, which is the People's Assembly. So a lot of young people have lost hope in the system, so you can't expect them to come out because, one, they don't have clear understanding of where this country is going, and we are not giving them the assurances.
Does anybody really have a clear understanding where this country is going? Some would say part of the reason for the protest.
Unpacking will tell us because he's an economist.
It's for us to chat away.
Unpacking will tell us he's an economist.
Of course.
The country.
Now, Akin Fatunke, we continue to look at it from different sides, but then the economic angle is one way that we cannot exhaust enough. Now, I want to look at it from the part of where Theophilus talked about the excesses of our so-called leaders, the need to curb impunity. Now, we know that in time past there have been talks or even bills being raised in the Legislative House to have the salaries or the monies accrued to lawmakers being reduced at some point in order to have enough, fiscal position, most especially for the government, to be able to run the administration, and that bill has been stepped down. Is there a way we can go above that to deal with the issue of expenses or excesses of politicians and the frivolities, the perceived frivolities of these politicians in terms of what comes to them? There are, different allocations being given to them to expend in their constituencies to bring about development. We've not seen that. Is there a way we can probe these to cut down on these expenses whereby we don't even have accountability or transparency?
Transparency, accountability, audits, report, forensics tells you exactly that those are the ways to go. And Oran Science report came, that is the way to go. But when you have, power corrupts. Lord Acton said it. Yeah. Absolute power
corrupts.
It's not just corrupting. it makes you blind, it makes you deaf, sometimes it makes you dumb, and you just close your eyes to everything. Those two items that you mentioned, and which my friend Theophilus commented on, I would like to add another one. A sense of shame whereby you'll be able to order your priorities. In economics, when you are not making enough money, or you have what they call, a Gini coefficient. Please don't be scared with when economists come out and be saying this. Highly skilled income distribution. Oh my goodness. The civil service is gone. We're talking about minimum wage or no minimum wage, and yet you are not making money. What practical economists do is either you bake the cake and make it bigger, or you naturally cut down on your consumption. So those two aspects, they are low-hanging fruit as far as I'm concerned, and they are things that should have been done yesterday. What meaning that, look, just forget. Go ahead, do all those cutting, the salary, House of Representatives cutting salaries. No, please, this is not the time for cosmetics. Let me now then marry it along to living wage, minimum wage that you are talking about early. Okay, yes, I can tell you as an economist, as it said in the Bible, nobody wants to go for a building without planning. Your quantity surveying, you design, and then you look at your pocket. I mean, where are you going to borrow from? Did you have enough savings? When you don't have all these things, what the architect will tell you is that cut your coat a little bit to your size. That is not the time that you should be talking about presidential jets and what have you. Look, you can have presidential jets if you believe you have presidential jets, but you must be able to come and show Felicity here that, look, I need this for this reason, including the fact that I'm not going to misuse it. The ones that I have, I've made sure I sold them, and if I now then get one, because over time, it's going to be prudently used. Okay. So please, can I just say this? Without sense of responsibility, I believe, Mr. Johnson, this strike has been a huge success. Yes, it's come at a cost, no doubt about that. But a lot of the questions you are asking me, it is successful because, to the best of my understanding and perception, my emotional intelligence tells me that for the very first time, unless you say we are acting a script, for the very first time, government, it's not only jittery, government is listening. Government has decided that, yes, as much as we can. I mean, I saw the commissioner of police in Lagos State. I say kudos. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. And the journey of 1,000 miles, Felicity, is not just the first step. It is the step you decided in your mind that you are going to take yesterday that's going to get us there. There are a lot of constitutional things. If you are looking at it from the economics perspective, I know quite a number of things have been juggled together. Some are quick fix that should be fixed. Some we have to take a decision and look at. Okay,
I will come back. I will come back to you on the win-win success of this. Win-win thing for this protest. But let's go to Theophilus and just write off what you said about accountability and transparency and the government telling us what they are doing. I want to ask you on what divide are you? There's been contrary arguments. I've been looking at comments, analysis, and posts on the subject. Some say that even though the government, through its agents, have been coming out to explain what they're doing, show what they've been able to do, and even respond to the call for this protest ahead of time through, for instance, the tax relief for food importation, palliatives of rice? That's another question I want us to explore, but that will be later. Should the president be speaking to the people directly? Some say he doesn't need to because his agents are already at it. Others say we might not have had this protest at all if the president had deemed it necessary to just talk to the people. Theophilus.
Yes, my opinion on the call for the president to come out and speak is that it is premature and too hasty to call on the president of a federation as big as Nigeria, when you have all the sub-nationals and all the various appointees, including elected officials, engaging at various levels actively. If you don't allow that to play out and you just bring out the president to speak hastily, his words might be trampled upon, and that will be the end of the authority of our nation. He is the final authority. He must see how effective all the organs of government are in managing this so that you can even build trust and confidence, at those levels. So you can see the engagement so far has been very active. The governors have been doing. What I feel that is wrong is Nigerians are speaking to the president and not even asking the governors and local government officials, how have you utilized the gains from the subsidy removal? Most of the states have increased revenues. And so we should even see interrogation at that level. So for me, I believe the president has been speaking to Nigerians through his appointed officials, including elected representatives at the subnational level. And I think for now, I feel it's okay until when necessary, the president can come and speak. But for now, I feel the communication that has been going on is quite adequate.
Theophilus, when you talk about the response of government, are you talking about pre-protests? Or because it seems as though what a lot of Nigerians have been saying and what is being perceived is that these governments, both from the federal level, the subnationals, the ministers, they've actually spoken. Even the royal fathers have come out to say, hey, please do not protest. But now, Nigerians have come out to protest, and it's more or less like, okay, we told you, you have refused, we are going to keep quiet, so whatever it is that you see now, you face it. So you're not talking about response, are you talking about now? Because we've not seen anything that speaks to that.
Even before now, the president, this particular president, in fact, has been speaking more than every president recently. He spoke in different fora, he's met with various, and each time he meets, his voice is heard loud and clear. He's made comments, so in terms of this president talking, but what we are saying is calling on the commander-in-chief and president to speak at this point in time. He has acted, he's done a lot of things that have not germinated, have not yielded fruit. His removal of import duties on rice.
All right, Theophilus, just hold on to your thought, please.
Yeah.
We need to go for a live feed from Abuja on the protest. We'll be right back with you.
They were shooting directly at us. That means they directly want to kill us. And they will not say, tell us their intention. We have the right to protest. We have the right to protest. We have the right to ask for good governance. It's not bad for us to ask for good governance. It's our right to protest. My name is Gideon. Are you a member of the Party? No, I'm not a member. I'm a consigned citizen that is asking for his. And now you just as a slave. You the poor people as a slave. Now you to fight how can the government go and bring people and pay him 5,000 for each person? Say Tinubu, I must government stop paying 5,000 to these guys, they brought yesterday 10 buses here. Luckily, those people say it's their money. They join us for the protest. You understand it? So today he paid them. That was why the day was much. Now they want to stop us for the right. Tell me the truth. Which country does not have any right to protest? Tell me the truth. Why are the government? Why do we have a leader? Why do you have a father in a home? You have a father to cater for you. It's only when you did not give your father responsibility, you go out and start drinking kai because there's no responsibility. But why are you in Nigeria? What is the privilege of being in Nigeria? What is the benefit of being in Nigeria? Tell me what you guys are enjoying as in Nigeria. Now, what they do, they make us slaves. Alcohol power they are into is the one that control this world. They don't have feelings. They don't have feelings of human beings. People are dying, they don't care. There's no right to live, no right for anything. Look at police, only for this small crowd. Please, tell Tinubu he should come down. Tell the wife, she's their mother. She's their mother like me. I won't like my children to suffer. She's supposed to. Their hearts are sold to devil. Their hearts are sold to devil. Tell them there are mothers like me. Oh, I'm fighting because I want them to change. I have a son. I won't let them to go through what these people are going through. I can take care of myself and my son. My name is Angel. Angel.
Live feed from Abuja and reactions from protesters. That lady was quite passionate in what she had to say about the situation. She made some allegations as well. I'd like to take Jide's response to, her passionate comments about being allowed to protest.
I think the way the government has gone about handling this issue actually aggravated a lot of people. And there were various attempts by the government to prevent people from protesting, leading to this protest. You have, first, who is the official spokesperson for this government concerning the protest? Is it the the Minister of Federal Capital Territory? Is it Bayo Onanuga? Is it Ajiru Ngrele? Is it Daniel Boala? Is it Reno Mokri? And also, if you go through, and the major means of information, of sourcing information, for most people are not the mainstream media, is the social media. In actual sense, it's X, what you call Twitter. That's where most people get most of their first and foremost from. So you have a discordant communication strategy on the part of the government with respect to whether there will be protests. Compare protest in Abuja with that of Lagos. You saw the feed from Lagos where the police is giving protesters water in Lagos. I just left a particular program to come to the studio with the PPRO of police in Lagos. We were together as guests on that particular program. So it boils down to who are those that are managing the issue. If you leave an issue unattended to, it leads to conflict.
What's your thinking on the accusations about monies being shared?
Look, I have said something earlier. The structure you saw concerning the protest and the visual we saw, is there anything different from our election? I'm asking, there's a structure for protest in Nigeria, and there's a structure for election. Whichever way, money exchange, and except we want to play to the gallery, we want to play the ostrich, whether pro or for. It's like the third term issue. Those that were for third term collected money. Those who are against third term collected money.
But that means it's not just
beyond what we are seeing on the surface. There are those that are funny. So there is a structure of protesting.
So
don't forget, I'm coming. Let me land. Now, don't forget that the APC itself was a party out of Save Nigerian Group protest in 2012 when Jonathan removed the oil subsidy. APC was formed in 2013. So APC was a product of protest. It was a party, it was an amalgamation of the opposition party in protest to Jonathan's economic policy.
So at the heart,
when you're trying to stop people,
where I'm trying to go with this is, at the heart of this, what I get from you is that it is not just the government that is the problem. The people are part of the problem in this instance, and at the heart of it remains what they're agitating for: hunger. Because if you have money in your bank, somebody will not give you 5,000 naira to put your life at risk. If you have money to buy a bag of rice, there will be no need for you to be on the street. So at the heart of it is, on the one hand, there is hunger that is at the heart of it. Either way you look at it. It is one of
the things they've used to sustain the Fourth Republic. You can quote me on this, and I'm saying live on TV, is to perpetuate poverty, so that at the end of every 4 years you come, you give out handouts, and then you get the minority of the minority to vote for you.
You may need to just, let's pause, Jide, on your thoughts for now. We are going straight to Abuja again to get more reactions from protesters.
That they don't want protest, understand me, which is our rights. So at the end of everything, they don't want protest, which is our right. At the end of everything, Sheyi Tinubu and Wonumaru, Shetima. So they went and borrowed all these boys. Understand?
Let us be clear. Shetima or Sheyi?
Sheyi Tinubu, not only him, with Sheyi Tinubu and is it Shetima? It's one Shetima. Okay. And the FCT minister. Okay. So they call these guys to give them money. Understand me? So they can come and distort it. That was yesterday own. Yesterday they came with 10 buses. These guys came with 10 buses. So at the end, they packed, they're watching us at the stadium. So what they now did, they want to surprise us, they join us. They were now, they're the one fighting, what do they call it, FCT ministers. Now start saying, Tinubu na that pro banker, Shetima na that pro banker, that how can, that na their money they pay them their money, understand me, and which is right. In Nigeria, why do we have a leader? We have a leader to be like a father to citizens. Isn't this? If you go outside the country, you will see how things are being done. Understand me? They're supposed to have allowances. They're supposed to have privilege, right, in all these things. But they don't give it to citizens. They are not told them to tout.
I want to get you clear. Now, so you are alleging that some particular persons were bribed.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Evidence of what you are
You have evidence?
No, do you know what happened? I might not have evidence, but I have my people that are around
I
there.
have evidence.
Okay.
I am among the people that they give 5,000.
They gave you 5,000
Day before,
naira.
they gave me day before yesterday
Yes.
for this upper resettlement town hall. They gather people, they give them 5,000, and I am among. I'm KK people, I'm KK man. I carry many people go there and they give them 5,000, and I am the person that they give 5,000 naira. They lecture us that time, say, don't go to protest because
Who gave you 5,000 naira?
I don't know the name of the person because I don't know them. They just come and with this this chairman, Amak chairman, he visited the place and they give people 5,000. Anybody, they will no count. Anybody will reach that, they will give him 5,000, and they will tell you that we cannot no go there. Don't go there. What they tell us is say there's people that they want to make problem on this protest. That's why. So this 5,000 they give people to come and destroy our peaceful protest. Is the people that they come in and destroy our protest since yesterday.
Yes.
Since yesterday, they are the people. See, after that, yesterday they start shooting us with tear gas. Today they start shooting us with live ammunition. For what?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you decided to be heading to Eagle Square. Having knowledge of what happened yesterday, why do you decide to be heading to
I have knowledge to.
I mean, strong allegations there. I was a bit skeptical with the lady, but the young man coming to say affirmatively that he got 5,000 naira and he drove people to a location where they were given 5,000 naira, gives me cause for concern. And let me start with Theophilus. I would like our three guests to speak on this. Accusations, this is not the first time we're hearing it, but this seems to be the first time somebody is being affirmative. I got 5,000. I took people to collect 5,000 to disrupt the protests.
Well, I will condemn anyone who is making an attempt to undermine the expression of the will of the people, the pains of the people. It's condemnable, very disgraceful, and so even though there are allegations that are unproven, but if anything like that happens, it's not in the interest of the general good of the country. It will mean that it's an attempt to suppress the expression of the frustration of the citizens. Allowing the citizens to protest and express their frustration and pain is one way to douse tension. It has a very positive, impact on general well-being of even the citizen, because he will feel very good that he's expressed his opinion, and that one way or the other, there will be a reaction, a response to it. So anyone at all who has done that is not, but I do not say therefore because they've said it on TV that is true. I'm only saying if there's anything like that, it's condemnable.
Okay, so let me quickly bring Akin Fatunke into this. Now, of course, you did watch what these protesters have said affirmatively, that some sort of inducements were made for them to either disrupt or not even partake in the protest, as it were. What do you make of this? Because one would want to consider if there is a deeper meaning to this on the part of those who are trying to skew the focuses of those agitating for a particular cause?
I'm careful. There has to be two sides to any claim or counterclaim. I have lived in this country and have seen how people have reacted like the Gospels, St. John's and Matthew's, and perhaps saying the same story but having different slants. So I am a bit careful. I am not in any way saying it is impossible. Like Johnson, opined earlier. It's the same trend that we see during elections. And it's the same trend that I'm going to continue to see at elections. The lack of capacity of people to be able to think out of the box. For what I know, strategy can be positive and negative. I am not alleging that those who have spoken have been sponsored by opposition. Get me right, sponsored by opposition. But a very good opposition that knows his or her onions will go out there and do it. Now, I like your cameramen to also and then go and see the other side of the coin. They said, coins has how many sides? 3. The side. So, go for a very creative manipulator who might be in government, can also go and sponsor people and begin to say counter to all what we are saying.
But on the face of it, that's what I wanted us to explore. And it goes back to the question I was asking you earlier. When somebody is hungry, nothing else matters until that hunger pang is satiated. So when we look at situations like this, in 2024, 5,000 naira is still a reason why people take action that could impact on their future. So how do we begin to address this? I mean, we've been talking about the problems, the things that are coming, but at the heart of it is hunger. What actions do we need to begin to take?
An hungry man cannot think. An hungry man is an angry man. I don't know, I'm a Christian by faith, but every man talks from the experience of his faith, his religion, and his values, and his beliefs. And even Esau, who happens to be the direct son of Adam, the first man. Oh no, Esau, the son of Jacob, sold. The son of Isaac, sold his birthright. The brother of Jacob sold it to Jacob for a piece of muscle, that you be the firstborn, I'll be the secondborn. Not to talk of being a mortal man, that I do not even have an encounter with God. Anyone that is hungry cannot think straight, and I have said it earlier, what we have seen in this particular day, that's why you see people going to the House of Senator for handout. That's why you've seen policies of government, whether it is PAP, whether it is NAPEP, whether it's cash transfer, and what have you. These are policies that perpetuate poverty. These are policies that have contributed more to our problem. Conditional cash transfer. Palliative does not solve your problem. So these are the policies they perpetuate, so that at the end of 4 years, you improvise the people. Few people have more money, and it is those that have more money that can buy the ticket. They sell the form for how much? Form to become governor, 200 million. If you buy form to become governor for 200 million, how many people can afford it? Are you going there to serve the people, or you are going there to serve? So invariably, the policies they put in place is to protect. So it is not out of place, the allegation, I'm coming. It is not out of place, the allegation that are raised. What I expect us to do, allegations were made against 3 principal characters. We should get their own side of the story. Now, the FCT minister, the son of the president, and the chairman of Abuja Municipal Council area. Those are the 3 people
I'm
that
sure,
were
I'm sure.
And then we now have the third side.
Will...
You know, I said there are 3 sides to a coin. You have the head, you have the tail, and then you have the side. So we now have an independent view to look at it. But from our experience in this country, Like I've told you, during election, do they share money?
The argument you've just put up, I'll take this to Theophilus. The argument Jide has just put up, some would say buttresses the need for the protests that we have today. We need to change the status quo. Things need to change fundamentally if we are to address hunger. In one of our shows, one slot, we talked about the fact that Africa continues to lead when it comes to food scarcity and hunger and malnutrition across the globe. So what do we do? Is this protest justified? Where do we go from here, Theophilus?
First of all, the protest is justified in expressing the pains of citizens. But I feel also that the protest is coming at a very dangerous time. It's a period of acute difficulty. And there's no way you organize protest in such a circumstance and you will not get mammoth of people coming out. So to that extent, it's a good thing to give people expression, but there's a risk.
Is there ever a good time, Theophilus? Is there ever a good time to
No, I am
protest?
saying that we need to safeguard our country because we have a lot of people who are in great pains, and it's easy to mobilize them to do dangerous and bad things. What Jide said, fantastic. We have never been busy, developing wealth. We've been incubating poverty. All of those poverty alleviation programs, at best, only left the people poorer. And the pains continue from year to year. We talk about poverty headquarter of the world. And we have not been able to find pragmatic programs to really pull our people out of poverty. What we have is just palliatives that leaves people poorer. We need to do a lot of things. There's an emergency. We call it a pandemic, an emergency that we need to declare a state of emergency to pull people out of poverty in real terms.
Okay.
So this protest is germane.
Now,
it's a bit risky in its time, and that's what I think.
Theophilus, the nuance has always been that in Nigeria, or should I say Africa, poverty has been weaponized. If you probably might agree with that.
You see, first of all, democracy in itself gives the room for people to make choices. We've made choices for poverty. We've made choices that are not progressive. You see, since the subsidy was removed, Nigeria has not been discussing about productivity. You see, the implication of removing subsidy is that you've got to pay your bills. It's going to impact on all sectors. Okay. We are not busy creating wealth. Nigeria is busy thinking that prices will come down without an adequate response in productivity. It's not going to happen.
Now, Theophilus, what you actually said that actually pricked me was the fact that you said something must be done. And this is where I want to come into it. Now, we're talking about weaponization of poverty in the country. And I'm wondering, is it peculiar to this current party or leadership? Or is something that scales within...
It's been a culture of Nigeria to incubate poverty. We've done nothing to take people out of poverty in real terms. What we have been doing is just cosmetic, measures. A nation that is 200 million people cannot be talking about no food when we have arable lands across the country. You can't confine our farms only to the north. We need our youth, mammoths and millions of able-bodied youth. No jobs created. Many universities were allowed to be established. When you were establishing universities, job creation was at its low. Companies were leaving the country. We don't create entrepreneurs. Our banks are not lending money to real sector. People were round-tripping, were selling dollar to make quick gain. We have a very serious
argument
situation.
Is that,
yes.
The argument is that it's not for a lack of this, but we have a challenge with security. A guest we had earlier, Mr. Olumide Umuayo, who said we need rice or grain, I think, for 7 million tons needed. We only produce about 4 million. Insecurity is at the heart of the problem at the agricultural sector. Yes, we have other side issues, policies and implementation. Insecurity continues to be our bane. So where does that leave us, really?
Insecurity will remain with us for as long as we incubate poverty. to wish that we have security with this kind of poverty in the north, this kind of poverty across Nigeria, the kind of fraud our young men are involved in the south. Go down to Delta and Edo State. People who are into massive fraud, Yahoo, football betting, and all manner of gambling that's going on. You can't create an able, productive society with that kind of system. These are dangerous people that we are incubating. So kidnapping is going to be high. So insecurity is here to stay unless we go to the jugular and hit the problem at its very core.
And do you think this protest could actually achieve that?
No, not immediately. Protest is going to tell government we are hungry, but government will need time for anything they are doing to get state. Nothing will happen as quick fix. Nigeria need to have very thorough engagement with its citizens. Protest is good, but it's not going to bring any succor immediately.
All right, Theophilus, thank you. Akin, let's take your reaction on this. We know what the definition of democracy is. We actually saw the protesters saying that they have the right to protest. It is their right. We've seen what happened in the US. Maybe a little bit, different from what obtains in Nigeria. A president, after, talks, accusations, and the advice given to him that, hey, you're not, mentally, health-wise, you're not too strong enough to run for a second term. Can you kindly step down? Let another person take up the gauntlet and run with the particular party for the presidency. Now, these protesters are saying we are ending bad governance. The power is within them. They're the ones who chose who would lead. And they're saying, we're done with you. We don't want you anymore. Or maybe in that narrative, do they have the rights, one, to carry on with the line of protest, and two, is that too risky to ask for? But before we do that, before we get your response,
we'll just speak quickly to our colleague in Jos, Chizoba Anyowe, for updates. Chizoba, what's the latest?
The latest is actually that protesters actually gathered this morning, and they've been peaceful actually, though a group of them earlier on seemed like they were trying to hijack the peaceful protest to cause mayhem by trying to block the measure roads and then chanting songs, claiming that they're actually not happy with the bad governance in Nigeria. But thank God for the help of the security agencies, especially the police and then the army that were around to put all those to a hold. So it did not happen any longer. But they remained on the ground, saying that they believe that at the end of the 10 days of the protest, that they hope actually that the government of the day will do something positive to bring that change that everybody is yearning for. But at the same time, if you can see behind me, you see most of them are actually sitting down. We saw some of them also a while ago, like they are retreating or going home as in like it's over for the day. But some of them are still actually on the ground, saying that nothing will make them leave this place.
So, Chizoba, we'd like to confirm where actually in Jos is, where actually are you?
Okay, I am right here at the Popular Secretariat roundabout. That's where they have moved down from the old airport roundabout, which is just like 4 kilometers away from here. So they just rally between here and there. It's just like 4 kilometers behind me. That's where the old airport roundabout is. But a while ago, they came down to Secretariat roundabout to continue with the exercise.
Does it seem as though the energy is waning in terms of these protests? It started yesterday.
Yes, I would say so, because in fact we have more number of them that came out early this morning than what we had on ground yesterday. So I think with the intense pressure they are putting in, everyone is hoping that at the end of the 10 days protest in the country, that something positive will come out of it.
Before we let you go, Chizoba, in Lagos there was a preemptive court order stopping the protest, confining the protest rather to two separate locations. Do we have a similar situation in Plateau? Was there any preemptive court order restricting the protesters to specific areas?
No. It's a different case here, because like I said earlier on, the police was around, the army, and all the other security agencies were on the ground. Especially the PPRO, he was here to address the protesters, ensuring they just stay within the ambit of the law that gave them the right to protest, but not to cause mayhem and to also disrupt the peace of the state. So they have the liberty. They are still going ahead with the protest, and nobody will stop it. All
right, thank you so much, Chizoba. Definitely, we'll try to reconnect with you some other time to get more details from you. We appreciate that.
All right, Akin, I want to come to you on a broader subject matter, something that was brought up by one of our guests earlier today, palliative and the Nigerian state. It seems sometimes our short-term solution to problems, like we saw prior to this protest, the government declaring a reduction in the price of bag of rice as palliative to help cushion the biting hunger. What is your thinking on the resorting to short-term measures to address our long-term issues?
It cannot be for long-term, certainly. If you are hungry, so you cannot think, you've got to be able to have a first aid. And as far as I'm concerned, that should be a first aid, because when you are alive now, I mean, you take the palliative now, you take the bit of an insulin now to keep you alive, for you to now then go for a surgery. So in my mind, it cannot be for long term. Look, as far as I am concerned, Theophilus is making some very fundamental statements, and we almost come to terms of the fact that governments will not be there like a Father Christmas and just be dropping. We have to work. We have to begin to look at productivity. We have to begin to look at policies. There are policies that can be put in place to begin to engender and then inject life into this country. For me, this protest, I started by saying it's very successful, highly very successful, but I would like to also say that he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. And I came here because you wanted me to look at the economic impact. Yes, we are losing billions and billions. Those billions will not come back. I guess the government are now jittery and panicky. We have to begin to now listen. And then all this stuff about over-bloated government is some of the reforms that we need to make. Those reforms are not going to be made on the street. We either have to take a decision now that the National Assembly is going to listen to us, now that the president will not say our constitution or Nigeria is sacrosanct, is not negotiable. We now begin to now drill down. I do not want what happened at the NSAS to happen to us. Okay. You do not even expect, like Chizoba said in Jos, you do not expect that you are going to get a court injunction there. There are two different things. Lagos is a melt pot. Before this strike, if you went on the bridge elsewhere, you see able-bodied men and women sitting, defecating. Okay. So I'm saying, I think we need to get to the drawing board. We need to begin to restructure Nigeria properly. We need to have a constitution. This over-concentration, and for a good reason, over-concentration on the federal is not helping us. We must, okay. I am happy that the government is talking about local government reforms. Let's drill that down to the brass tacks so that we can begin to look at how we bake for us to be able to share. Okay. What this government has done, let me just tell you, we are talking about communication. It's not a question of President Bola Tinubu or whoever coming to talk. Act. Okay, Akin will come to you. You must cut down on the excesses that we know and the unconstitutional things that you've been doing, whether in the budget, whether in the office of the first
okay, Akin, we really need to interject. Yes, we really need to interject.
We know how passionate you are about this. I think Nigerians are equally passionate about having, good governance in Nigeria. But then what we can see live on screen are Nigerians believed to be Muslims who are actually observing their period time in Abuja right there with an inscription in front, "End bad governments, or should we say end bad governance? And that resonates among Nigerians in this particular time, because this is what happened also in Plateau State, where we had Muslims gather around while protesting, took out their time to pray, and Christians were said to have protected or provided protection for them at that particular time. And you would recall, during the NSAS protest too, we had a cross-section of Nigerians from different social strata, different tribe, come together to actually, formidably speak in one voice, saying these are the things that they want. So when you talk about unity in Nigeria and the narrative being played by the so-called leaders, in terms of you're from this tribe, you're from that tribe.
Yes, just to add to what Lekan is saying, there has been some coloration on social media about trying to push an ethnic slant to the protest. But when you see visuals like this, yesterday we also saw where Muslims were praying and Christians, does it counterate and disabuse the concept that there is some underlying ethnic or religious connotation to the protests that we are experiencing at the moment? I'll put that to you, Jide.
It is the political class that has created division among Nigerians. Nigerians don't care whether you're a Muslim or you're Christian. We eat and stay together. All you need to do is to go to Igbo market, is to go to Ladipo market, or you go to Malu market in my two. And you see Nigerians across all walks of life, whether in Kano or in Aba, in Kaduna, Abuja, Port Harcourt, or wherever. You see Nigeria across. Just go to the market square or marketplace, and then you see Nigeria across all regions coming together to interface and integrate with one another. But what we have seen is the desecration of our religious and traditional institution. You're so proud to the protest, whereby you have Oro coming out. And people saying that Oro coming out, that people should not protest because they want to do Oro. We've seen the desecration of the sanctity of our moral rectitude by the present political class. And I'm appealing to traditional rulers, religious leaders across board, for them to understand that it's either you stand on the side of the people, which is the truth, or you stand on the side of government, which is limited in time. There's no government that can live more than 8 years, but every other, the people will always be forever. And whatever you do will be written down in history. And history is the best rewarder of everybody. You could see the visual. You see people providing that protection, that shield for them. There's nobody carrying cutlass running after the other. There's nobody using what violence or what have you concerning them. You even know who is a Muslim or who is a Christian amongst them, because they're all together in unity. And this is what we want to happen in this country, because in unity we stand. Once we promote that unity, that's when this country will grow. But when we begin to create division, like the governor, for example, the Lagos State governor had to quickly respond through his spokesperson early this morning with respect to that from the 20th to the 30th, some certain section of the country from Lagos will be sent away, where you have Nigerians in Britain going to the parliament, where you have Nigerians in Canada winning election, where you have Nigerians in the United States of America winning an election and being elected. Now you have Nigerians in Nigeria being asked to leave Nigeria. It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Of course. Theophilus, let me bring you into this. Now, of course, you would have listened to Jide talk about the fact that, religious leaders, religious institutions, and of course, traditional leaders will need to take a standpoint. And Nigerians have come out to say, at this particular time, we've not even really seen any religious leader come out to categorically speak, most especially for these protests coming up. Does it feel as though these leaders, so to speak, are sitting on the fence, or this would have been pivotal for them to, make a stand?
In the defense of religious leaders, we might not have a lot of them out, but we do have a few of them.
But Nigerians say this is the time for every one of them, because we have different religious bodies, different.
Okay, let's
come and talk about it.
Theophilus, what do you think about that?
First, the general attitude of the religious leaders is an outcome of the various engagement that the president has been doing. That's what I think. In respect of his call and appeal they decided to take a soft stand because there's no religious leader in Nigeria who is not in direct confrontation with the challenges Nigerians are facing, who do not see and feel it even in the daily interaction with members of his congregation or his religious denomination. So there's no doubt that they are very much in the heat of things, but they decided to take this stance because, of course, they have come to understand that there's a higher risk of either losing their members or inflicting more damage on society, judging from previous experience. So they decided to take a softer tone. But I know there are still a few radical ones who are outspoken. However, we must be very wise. We know there's pain in the country. The reforms that the government has undertaken, they are very risky, very defining reforms that many past governments could not attempt, not even one item of them. So this president, who is a democratically elected president, who needs a second term, has decided to undertake the reforms. They will come at very great cost. We must allow some of them to get state. For example, local government autonomy that Buhari fought for 8 years and failed using executive order. This president has used the courts and has gotten a direct interpretation and a final decision. We need to give 6 months to see how local governments will play out, we utilize those funds and see the effect of it at the very local level. We need to also wait to see the importation of food without duty, how that will impact on the food prices in the market. We need to see the free duty on pharmaceuticals. These measures need time for us to benefit from them. Above all, the subnationals, state governors and local government must engage in job creation, engage the youth and begin to move them into entrepreneurship and create enabling environments. Look at our young ones, those people praying there. You can see the misery in their eyes. Nigeria needs to engage its youth, which is the greatest asset of this country. We've made a mistake, we need to correct it.
Okay, so I just want to quickly come back to Akin Fatunke about the narrative I played up, as regards Joe Biden and what obtains in Nigeria with the demands of the protesters. Is it well within their rights? Is it risky or riskier in this Nigerian context? Is it achievable to say, it seems you've not done well according to what we expected? Can you please step aside or end this kind of governance and play up the type that we want that would directly impact our lives positively?
You are going to the heart of constitutional reforms. You are not going to do that on the streets. An attempt to try and do that on the streets will be sending us to Kigali. Because, again, I have a challenge when we look at those religious people. It's easy for you to say religious people. I think we are, over-religiosity has killed us. So Christians too will do their own. I don't know if you are going to make allowance for traditional worshippers who also now they want to come and do their own. Beyond all these is good governance, conscience, ethics, morality, character, capacity for you to be able to do and to be fair to all manner of men and women, in my opinion. So now, back to whether it's somebody is too old, it should be young and all that. Age is a thing of the mind. I will naturally want somebody that is ebullient, smart. If Nigerians collectively say that is what they want, it's not something that you are going to do by fire. I have seen young people that have been thrown out. Unfortunately, they went onto the banana peel and they fell.
Governor of Kogi State.
The thing to really do is let's have good governance. Let's have, an even feel that people can justify. I am looking for a day where I'm going to see a lady, as I told her before, Felicity, now become the Senate president of this country. Now, she wants to make an attempt to do that. I know because of her culture and whatever it is, some people will say over their dead body. So we are different. Don't let us continue to pretend here. We are of different tongues, we are of different tribes, we are of different religions. We just try our possible best to do a thin line of good governance When you have good line of good governance, I may be a Christian, and I see you as a Muslim doing very great things, I can decide to change in there. Because let your light shine before men. That's what the Bible says. So, for me, good governance, nothing is sacrosanct. Yes, I also expect people to have sense of shape. I do not expect to continue to see leaders like Biya in Cameroon or the Democratic Republic of Congo that you'll be shaking here and there. And then for those of us, media, Johnson, Theophilus, we see them and tell them the truth. We see them and say that daddy, mommy, father, or whatever it is, you are going to die on this job and you just die like a dog. Let all of us have a consensus to always say the truth.
Okay.
What I also want to find that
let me
first before me.
We'll come back to you. Let's bring
then life is going to be okay.
So I host a program here on News Central. It's called One Slot, and the idea behind it is to continue to push conversation for African and unit-based solutions to our problem. And what you just talked about, good governance, triggered a thought and a question I keep asking most of my guests about democracy in Africa. What constitutes good governance? It seems that our conception of democracy was adopted. He said we are not exactly how the Americans are. We are a unique brand. We have cultures that are way incomprehensible to people who don't live within our unit. So I guess my question is, good governance and democracy, do we really need to begin to reevaluate our conceptualization of democracy as we currently operate it, or we just make do with what we have and just try and follow through?
Well, there are two things. An average American will tell you that they are not democracy, they are a constitutional republic. As far as we've practiced democracy in Nigeria from 1922, whether in direct form of democracy where you have minority representation with the Clifford Constitution up to the one we have in 1990, the one present 1999 Constitution as amended. I think the problem of Nigeria is not the Constitution. The problem with Nigeria is not the form of government. The problem with Nigeria is the leadership we have. He spoke about something. While we are growing up, if you bring a pencil that does not belong to you home, they will beat you. We have lost shaming culture. We have become a materialistic society. You just see that played out on the street. We have not seen anything yet. A lot of Nigerian youth are on drugs. A lot of Nigerian youth are unemployed. A lot of Nigerian youth have graduated from school. They've not gotten jobs because there are no jobs for them to do, and they are left frustrated. And government is not making things easier as a result of the policies that government is churning out. Let's look at it practically. In the last 1 year, we removed fuel subsidy, flotation of naira, we remove education subsidy, you increase electricity tariff. Okay, fine, those are policies that you need to put in place. What are you doing correspondingly in terms of agriculture, in terms of food security? What investment has this government made in the last 1 year in agriculture? You ask yourself, compare the Ministry of Agriculture now with the Ministry of Agriculture under Jonathan, the present president of African Development Bank. Are you getting my point? What has this government done in terms of industrialization? We saw what Dangote said with respect to the challenges he's facing with that. So your policy is making money for government. Is your policy creating enabling environment for industrialization? Because your economy cannot grow if you don't have food security. The first problem you need to solve is food security. And the second one is industrialization. So when people say we should keep waiting, we waited for 8 years. Under Buhari, 8 good years. And so there is a saying in my local dialect, the way Saturday will look like, you know it from Friday. So if government is carrying out policy 1, policy 2, policy, there is no corresponding counter policies that shows that there is hope tomorrow. And government keeps borrowing, and government keeps making money and saying that, okay, we have given, like my friend Theo said, we have given autonomy to the local government. We should allow the state government to do. The state government have collected more money. How many industries? I grew up in Ikeja area. I knew the number of industries in this Ikeja area. in the 80s, in the 90s, where are they today? What has happened to Ikeja industrial area? What has happened to the one in Aswani? What has happened to the one in Lupeju? Or what has happened to Agbara industrial estate? And you know, when you begin to talk about this, people will think that you are a social critic, you are criticizing government, you don't have understanding of what government is. We have seen government in the past, we have seen government now, and we are saying that the best way to go forward sometimes might be going backward, not taking a further step, going, because if you are going on the wrong track, you will not get to your destination, you are going backward. So that's.
I mean, you're speaking in parables, going backwards, going forward.
Exactly.
How do we need to define it? Because my question was democracy and good governance. How are we conceptualizing it? If we are going to, what specific steps are we looking to take back?
It is for us as a people to decide who will lead us per time. He said something. Let me just wrap it up so that others can contribute. Those that are the helms of affair of this country. When people talk about Kigali and it's happening in Nigeria now, you have a situation whereby the Senate President has been in government since 1999. The Secretary to the Federal Government has been in government since 1999. The Chief of Staff to the President has been in government since 2003. I can go on and on and on and on and on and on.
At different capacities.
At different and they are far away from reality. They are insulated from what an average Nigerian is going through, and that's why we are seeing the problem we are seeing now.
Okay, so Theophilus, this is it now. Can Nigerians or should Nigerians expect good governance from this administration? I want to be very controversial about that, and the reason is this. It's not even the reason. Let's picture it or put it in perspective between 2015 and 2024, from what you've seen so far and what is playing out now. Should or can Nigeria expect good governance?
We should expect good governance. But can we have good government? Can we have good governance? The government of a nation is not one man. It's an establishment. Tinubu has been elected into a culture of operation, a culture of governance, from the civil service to all government agencies. There is a culture. It's called a culture of corruption, a culture of protectionism among themselves, a culture of planting themselves in offices. This is not the president, this is not even the elected people. The elected people, they are mingling with a very dangerous structure that is very entrenched. So for you to have good governance, it starts with the general change of attitude of the citizenry. Because we have so encouraged corruption that even our brothers that are corrupt, we clap for them. We praise them. We enable them. So if the president is there, you saw what happened between Dangote and the regulator. If the president was not smart to have given that directive, that matter will still be lingering. So the president will have a good idea. All presidents in Nigeria, they have good intentions. But the government structure is very defective, is very dangerous. It's not designed for progress. We need to crack it. If you don't crack that, every president will be a victim and will be a failure from beginning. And so this president, I see him as someone who's been in the system long enough, who understand that being a president of Nigeria is not anymore to enrich himself. I don't think there's anything he's looking for. This president, he has a moment, an opportunity in history, and I believe he's working to achieve that. And that's why I feel inclined to give him time, because he has done it before in the most populous commercial nerve center of this country. And the result of it is still being felt across the continent when he re-engineered the economy. When he was here, they said those beans were flowers when we didn't know his vision. And ultimately, he began to move. I believe that in the midst of all our chaos, we should have the idea that there are people who mean well. And talking about those who are in government for long, even in America, those who are in corridors of power do not live there easily. So let us not say that new people will emerge all of a sudden. It's a process. New people will come in, the older one will shift, and they will retire, and new ones will emerge. What is wrong with Nigeria is that we have a culture of corruption, a culture of making wealth without work. Unless we cure that, everything we'll be doing will be running around circles.
Okay, Akin Fatunke, thank you so much, Theophilus, for that. Akin Fatunke, I want to get your reaction on this. Because we're talking about dismantling the current structure of governance because it reeks of corruption. No, so when we talk about policies being made, when we talk about legislative processes, the kind of bills being passed, judicial processes, and all whatnot, how do we dismantle? Then when we do that, what kind of consciousness or kind of structure do we build that actually transforms the country socioeconomically and politically?
Johnson, I don't know if it was a slip that came out of your mouth, but I don't think it is. Sometimes when you're on a journey and you feel that that journey is not going to take you to a destination because you don't have an extra tire, stop, like Dora Kunili said, go back to the basics. I do not think democracy is working in Nigeria. I do not think democracy, federally structured, can work in Nigeria. I also do not think that the vehicle for the democracy that we call a constitution is going to take us anywhere. And so please let me shake the table. You get to a stage in life, you look at things critically and say the truth. You don't need to have to agree. If Atiku had won this election, I am not sure we'll still not have our problems, because our problems, like Akatugba, Theophilus, I just said now, is structural. And so what everybody does, we are different countries. So if it is going to be my turn, so I get there, I put my own people there, the other person gets there, I put his own people there. Prependalism, that's what you call it. Because we have a structure and a constitution that can even make an angel to be a devil. So, for now, pending the time that we need to go there. Oh, I should also say, Peter Obi, that if Peter Obi had won this election, he's not going to be a one and take away security. Look, however, there might be some behavioral tendencies that might now begin to now win the heart of people. Say, for instance, I'm sorry, I take Obi as an example. His austere lifestyle. Perhaps when he gets there, he too, but perhaps he's going to now behave. We are now seeing, you're not going to be buying a presidential jet. That would be good, a plus for him. But even if you don't buy a presidential jet, you have really not solved the problems of Nigeria, because, like I said, we are different tribes, different tongues, and everybody will now be fighting for. So we need to restructure this country. We all need to sit around a table and say, this is how we should be governed. Citizenship, indigenship, all those things, the right of women, the right of the youths, and cutting governance to the barest minimum. That is what I'm going to be prescribing, prescribed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Call down governance. Call down your cost of governance and begin to influence all tiers of government. And please, let's continue to look at the governors. Let's continue to look at the governors. We must continue to look at the governors.
Now, Jide, I just want to get your thoughts. I don't mean to be controversial here, but then this democratic setting, is it going to take us anywhere? And if not, is there an alternative?
I think that Nigeria is not well suited for presidential system of government. Considering the multi-ethnic nature of our country, and considering that the gerrymandering that was done by the military in terms of state creation and local government creation. I'll give you an example. I've traveled to the length and breadth of this country. For example, Ikorodu local government is just one local government, and you can travel for the next 2.5 hours without traversing the length and breadth of Ikorodu local government. Forgive me, I'm a Lagosian. Let me be selfish about that. So you can imagine Lagos and Kano before creation of Jigawa State having 15 local government, and today Kano is having 44, Jigawa is having 31, and Lagos is still stuck with 20. And if you want to do anything with Nigeria, you have to do it on local government basis, and then Yet Lagos State has 24 hours of rep, more than Jigawa, more than any other state, more than Oyo State that has 30. And then with Kano, they are the two states that have 24 hours of rep.
Just to interject, don't forget your line of thought. What do you make of the recent Supreme Court? I mean, you said we have to start from the local government level, and the Supreme Court just gave us autonomy. So is that not maybe a step in the right direction?
It's not a step in the right direction. It's just a quick fix. What the president needs to do is to approach the National Assembly with an executive bill that talks about not using the courts to get that decision. Don't forget, that was an amendment by the Lawan led National Assembly that unfortunately Lagos State, Ogun State, Ondo State, and either Oyo State killed. Only 21 states ratified that. Ordinarily, local government will have become the third tier of government with the last administration, but it was the progressive state that actually killed it. So the best thing for the president to do is for him to approach the National Assembly with an executive bill that gives local government this autonomy. This one they have done, they will still be going to court back and forth, because the implementation is just a quick fix to solve that particular problem.
So what kind of government actually
I think the best suited government for us is parliamentary system of government. You know, that's the government which we had in the First Republic, with each region developing at its own pace. There is competition among the region, and then you have more of the power belongs to the confederating region and not to the center. Power is, even the federalism we are practicing, the power is too centralized in Abuja. You know, I said something about America. Winning the election in America is not having the popular vote. Winning election in America is about the electoral college. It's not about having the popular, it's about the electoral college. How many electoral college votes? You need 271 to be elected the president. So you might win the popular vote and still lose the election, like Al Gore, like Hillary Clinton. So that's a way, a safety mechanism they put in place to safeguard, to understand the dynamics of, that's why it's called United States of America. So Nigeria is United States of Nigeria. The dynamics are different. So for us to really move forward, I think we need to go back to parliamentary system of government, which he talks about, which Akin talks about restructuring. And we are running away from it, we'll get there.
Okay. We have our colleague, just take that briefly. Ni Omoni is live in Lagos. I think he's still in Ojota. Let me just confirm from him. Ni, if you can hear me, go ahead and confirm your location and what the latest is. Okay, I don't think he can hear us yet. I don't think he can hear us yet. So maybe the next crew will take that live, unless, of course, something happens and we need to go live. Gentlemen, let's get your final thoughts on, you know, events as they. Let's stay with you to conclude.
Well, I think the people have spoken. It's left for the government to open channels, because the beauty of democracy is consenting and dissenting voices. Majority will have their way, minority will have their say. Give opportunity for dissenting view to express themselves.
Okay. Okay.
Alexander Pope made that profound statement for forms of government, parliamentary, federal. Let fools content. Whatever is best administered, which the protesters are asking for, is best. So we need to have a clear cut.
Okay.
I will be surprised, personally, since I can't see tomorrow, that after all this that we are saying and that we are seeing, President Bola Tinubu will not heed and begin to do things that people want.
Thank you very much. Theophilus, quickly, your reaction.
Yes, first I would like to call on government to now engage. I do not expect that government will roll back on fuel subsidy removal. That would be a big mistake, a mistake that previous governments have made, and we are still with that problem. I will expect the government to respond in areas that they can respond and keep reforms going and cushion the effect on the people, and continue to hasten the implementation of all of these palliatives.
Gentlemen, we really appreciate your time. It's been over an hour. You've been talking with us. We thank you and look forward to implementation of some of the suggestions that you put forth here. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
And that's how we will wrap up this part of the conversation. We continue to cover the protests across Nigeria, and my colleagues will be coming up to take over from us. In the meantime, it is bye from me and Lekan.
All right, I want to say thank you very much for everybody that has been part of this. Enjoy your day.